Oh my goodness. Good morning, good afternoon. Whatever it is for you, I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Zach Schaumler. This is Strong Opinion Sports, episode 498. A rare episode where I am recording in the truck during the day. I'm a little bit behind, I'm not going to lie. My life's been really busy doing a lot of stuff, trying to catch up on football. I watched every game I'm going to talk about today, and I probably shouldn't have. I probably could have skipped a couple of them, but I was excited. I love football. It was fun. I had a good time. I spent all day Tuesday watching football. It is now Wednesday during the day. My goal was to record this on, Monday night. And obviously, I failed that. It was actually kind of this weekend was a good test to be like, okay, wow, I got to really tighten up my schedule during the weekend for football season, because I'm working two jobs. I'm watching football in the margins, and I also helped my girlfriend move this weekend, and I'm like, well, look, I can't do it all. So next weekend, I want to get an episode out on Tuesday after Monday Night Football, so expect that. That's my goal. I'm telling you that now. But I'm glad we had kind of a trial weekend to figure out how the schedule is going to work for football season, because I don't want to put out an episode Wednesday afternoon about the weekend next week. Man, I'm really excited. You're going to watch, if you're watching on YouTube, you can enjoy this, I think. Again, I normally record episodes at night. It's cooler at night. The sun is a controlled setting. There's no light outside. So tonight you're going to watch the sun move as I record, and you're going to watch me just melt. It's going to get hotter and hotter in here. And if you want to have a fun little game to play, look back, if you want. When you get to the end of the episode, go back to the beginning and look at the difference of how I look from now at the beginning of the episode. At the end of the episode, I'm going to look really sweaty and kind of worn down. It's kind of a fun thing to do when I record these episodes in the truck during the day. Anyway, let's jump in. College football week 1 was outstanding. I had a great time. I want to run through some of the games I watched and have notes to talk about on. Number 1, Georgia beat Oregon 49-3. It's kind of funny. My notes actually say Oregon beat Georgia 49-3. That very much did not happen. Georgia absolutely dominated Oregon, which does not surprise me at all. I'm not going to lie. I actually kind of enjoyed it. People tell me often, Oregon's better than you give them credit for, and the Pac12's better than you think. I don't know, man. I hate to say I told you so, but it actually feels pretty good. Oregon got absolutely annihilated. And I will say, I really am interested in watching Oregon's quarterback, Bo Nix, this year. He did not look great. He had a really bad interception. Although I don't know that this loss to Georgia is really going to say a lot about their transfer quarterback, Bo Nix. I mean, Oregon was completely outmatched physically in every aspect of the game. Bo Nix was 21 for 37 passing with 173 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And again, this is a Pac-12 school, the new head coach, against the defending national champion. They were going to lose. Obviously, Oregon was going to lose this game. There's an added wrinkle that Dan Lanning, the Oregon head coach, Dan Lanning, used to be Georgia's defensive coordinator last year. Now, despite the fact that Oregon was not in very good competition, I thought Georgia looked genuinely impressive. They had this true freshman corner, Malachi Starks, who had a ridiculous interception, high-pointing the ball down the left sideline. By the way, that's his first ever college football game. He's a true freshman, making an incredible play down the sideline. I was like, that guy does not look like an 18-year-old freshman at all. That's unbelievable. I mean, for all I know, he's 20 years old. But I'm just saying, true freshmen don't always make a play like that. He looked right at home. He looked like a veteran. It was unbelievable. Number 2, Georgia's tight end room is ridiculous. They've got Brock Bowers, who's an established really good tight end. They've got Eric Gilbert, who's a transfer from LSU. He's 6'5", 250. And then there's a guy named Darnell Washington, 6'7", 270. He hurdled somebody against Oregon. I was like, how is anybody going to guard Georgia this year when it comes to the tight end position? I have no idea. Good luck, SEC. Have fun with that. And then Stetson Bennett, their quarterback, who I'm not the biggest Stetson Bennett fan, at least I haven't been, because I don't really know that Stetson Bennett's going to be a future NFL quarterback, and I like watching the guys who are future NFL quarterbacks. But man, how can you not admire and respect the journey that Stetson Bennett has on. I want to see if I can find a screenshot. I took a picture of the screen. They put a graphic up on TV of all, yeah, look at this. So Stetson, I'm not going to show you because it's a picture of TV. Maybe I will, I'm not sure. Stetson Bennett, entering the start of every year, here is where he was. In 2017, he was a scout team quarterback for Georgia. At the start of 2018, he was a junior college quarterback at Jones County. In 2019, Stetson Bennett was Jake Fromm's backup at Georgia. 2020, JT Daniels' backup. Last year, he was JT Daniels' backup. He won the national title after taking the job when he got hurt. This year in 2022, for the first time ever, Stetson Bennett is the day one starting quarterback at Georgia. That's such a cool story. He's a guy who has overachieved at every single step of the way. He has passed all expectations, and against Oregon, Stetson Bennett looked like a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. I was like, this guy is unbelievable. He threw a back shoulder fade for a touchdown. He made a ton of great throws. He had this one play where he avoided a sack. He spins away and throws a touchdown, and you're like, how did he do that? I thought he was dead to rights. I just am so happy for Stetson Bennett. I don't know how you can't love him and admire it. His story is so compelling. I don't know what his NFL future looks like, but the guy is winning every time he gets on the field. He's playing at a high level. He has gotten better and better every year. And I'll tell you what, there's something to be said for a guy who finds a way to make it work and finds a way to achieve at a high level every time they're put into a scenario. I don't know if Stetson Bennett's going to be a future NFL quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be a coach. I don't know what he's going to do, but I would imagine Stetson Bennett is going to be successful at anything he works out at and does after college, because this guy's got such a great set of habits that have made him successful at Georgia. And even if he fails as an NFL quarterback, because I just don't know that he has the physical talent required. He's a guy who looks like he looks like me. He's like a normal 5'10", 5'11", skinny dude. He's just not that impressive physically. So I don't know if he's going to work in the NFL. More than likely, he's not. But I really believe in him in whatever field he ends up in after football, because he is just such an endearing, got a heart of a champion. I love the guy. I just love his work ethic. I love how he's figured it out. And, like I said, Oregon had no shot in this football game. I knew that going in. We learned that very quickly. It was a mismatch. Kirby Smart, Georgia's head coach, even said, we have better players after the game. No, it's not a shot at Dan Lanning. I think he was trying to pump him up. By the way, my final note from the Georgia-Oregon game, there was this commercial for Buffalo Wild Wings pizza. The pizza looks absolutely horrible. I don't know what Buffalo Wild Wings is doing. I like the idea of a flatbread maybe with wings on it, like a chicken pizza. I don't know. But the commercial they have makes that pizza look entirely unappetizing. And I saw that commercial for the first time during the Oregon-Georgia game. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's not a good look at all. Now, Sunday night, Florida State beat LSU 24-23. And man, this is an embarrassing, bad loss for LSU. LSU had 2 field goals blocked. They had, that one was a field goal, one was an extra point. They had 2 muffed punts. Florida State was up 14 points in the second half. Kayshon Boutte, I want to say Boutte, but it might be Booty. LSU's All-American receiver, only had 2 catches for 20 yards, and he looked unhappy all night. Coaches were talking to him on the sideline. I wondered if the guy was sitting there going, I should have transferred to USC. I could have been playing with Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley and all the talent over there. I don't know. He had a really bad play on the goal line where Booty was double covered, and Jaden Daniels threw him a really good ball. It was right in his breadbasket, should have been caught. But Kayshon Boutte ran an effort with low route, didn't even look for the ball, didn't expect the ball. It was a perfect throw that probably should have been a touchdown or a catch at the goal line, and instead it was an incompletion. That's totally unacceptable. He looked checked out. He didn't look happy. I don't know what's going on there, but something's going on there. He's very, very unhappy. And this game for LSU was a horrible, horrible start to the Brian Kelly era. LSU did come back. They made it a game. And in fact, this game had a crazy ending where Florida State punted with 2 minutes and 25 seconds left. LSU, God bless Malik Neighbors, he muffed 2 punts in the game. He muffs the punt, so he drops the punt. Florida State recovers and gets 1st and goal. Then on 3rd and goal, Florida State pitches the ball to a running back. He fumbles. Ball's on the ground. LSU recovers. So then LSU got the ball on their own 1-yard line with 1 minute and 20 seconds left, 99 yards to go. LSU did put together a 99-yard touchdown drive. They had one final play with 1 second left. There were a touchdown pass on that play. Made it 24-23. And I'm going like, this is unbelievable. What a crazy football game. And then LSU had the extra point blocked by Florida State, and LSU lost 24-23. I mean, look, let's be honest. LSU did not deserve to win that game, did not deserve to have that game tied at all. But what a roller coaster that was. And a horrible, horrible start to the Brian Kelly era at LSU. Now, Jaden Daniels, their transfer quarterback from Arizona State, I thought he did pretty good. I thought he had some moments where he could have been better. But a lot of that's first game jitters and learning a new offense. He ran for 114 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns. I'm excited to watch Jaden Daniels grow within this offense at LSU. I don't know. We'll see how the year goes for LSU, but that's not a good start for the Brian Kelly era. Now, there were 2 head coaches that lost their first game of the new team. Dan Lanning lost with Oregon really, really badly, 49-3 to Georgia. And Brian Kelly lost with LSU against Florida State. Here's a fun question. Which loss was worse? Was it worse for Dan Lanning to lose to Georgia or worse for LSU to lose to Florida State? I would say LSU's loss was monumentally worse than Oregon. Nobody expects Oregon to go on the road to, I believe they're playing in Atlanta, Georgia. No one expects Oregon to go to Georgia, the Mercedes Superdome, and win a football game against an SEC program, let alone maybe the best SEC program right now in college football, them or Alabama. But I can't imagine Oregon fans really that shocked their football team lost to Georgia. Disappointed? Yeah. Surprised? No. Brian Kelly, on the other hand, got a massive contract to go to LSU. And what comes along with that is massive expectations. And LSU didn't just lose the game to Florida State. They looked absolutely horrible. It was atrocious. And you can survive that loss, I think. I think Brian Kelly will be okay, got to clean it up, but so many mistakes were made. Missed opportunities, fumbles, muffed punts, bad coverage, dropped passes, guys who looked inattentive. Not good. Oh, on top of that, Mason Smith, a really good stud defensive tackle, tore his ACL. So it was all around a horrible, horrible loss for LSU. And optically, I think Brian Kelly losing to Florida State in his first game at LSU is a much, much worse loss than Dan Lanning at Oregon losing his first game to Georgia. Now, another Pac-12 team lost to an SEC program. Florida beat Utah 29-26. And this was such a fun game. It was really awesome, back and forth. And it came all down to this. Utah had the ball down 3 points with 1:25 left. They had to drive 75 yards to score a touchdown and win the game. And by the way, a field goal would have tied it. So they got to get in field goal range to score a touchdown. Utah drove all the way down to the goal line and then threw an interception on 2nd and goal. Cam Rising, the Utah quarterback, I hate to say it, he cost his team the game. And that sucks, but that's honest. That's true. I thought he could have played a better game, and in that moment, he did not shine. And a guy like him, I like Cam Rising a lot. He's not very physically imposing. He's not a great athlete. He runs decently. He's got a decent arm, but you got to be great in big moments if you're going to be a top-level NFL prospect and not have incredible physical traits. And what we saw from Cam Rising against Florida was a guy who didn't make it happen at the end of the game. That I hate saying that, and we got a whole year ahead to see and evaluate how he does, but that's the storyline from Florida-Utah. If they get stopped on 3rd and goal and kick a field goal, game's tied, probably goes to overtime, but you can't throw an interception in that moment. Cam Rising did. That's a big deal. By the way, Florida stopped Utah twice on the goal line. And I think this says a lot about the Pac-12, frankly. Utah is one of the best, top programs in the Pac-12, and they barely held their own and, in fact, lost to a mid-tier. Now, I would say upper mid-tier, but a mid-tier SEC program, Florida. By the way, Florida, who has a new head coach, Billy Napier, coaching his first ever game at Florida. So not a good look at all for Utah. And by the way, going into this game, Utah was talking about how this is our year. This is the year we are going to represent the Pac-12 in the college football playoff. Nope. Didn't happen at all. Now, the star of this game, in my opinion, between Utah and Florida was Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson. He outshined Utah quarterback Cam Rising, and Anthony Richardson looked dynamic. He was 17 for 24 passing with 168 yards. He also had 11 carries for 106 yards and 3 touchdown runs. This guy's on my radar. I went into the year saying I'm looking for new people to get onto my radar to pay attention to at the quarterback position who might have an NFL future. Anthony Richardson is that guy already week one. I'm like, wow, this guy? People were talking about him. I'm like, oh, let's wait and see how he does. No. He has leapfrogged Cam Rising as a guy way farther up my board than I thought. Anthony Richardson is awesome. They play Kentucky next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am really excited to keep evaluating how Anthony Richardson does as the year goes on, but he's got a massive arm. He runs the ball really well. He's great with manipulating defenses with his eyes, and what a cool serendipitous thing to kind of... I know a lot of people were talking about Anthony Richardson. He wasn't on my radar going into this game, and he is now. But all in all, Utah-Florida, fun game, back and forth. I had a good time, and what a good win for Florida. Now, by the way, Oregon lost, Utah lost. Now the only hope for the Pac-12 to make it into the college football playoff, already, by the way, after 1 week, the only hope for the Pac-12 is now USC. It's USC or nobody. And there's actually a good chance, in my opinion, that USC is going to run the table and might make it into the college football playoff. There's really only 2 or 3 tough games all year for USC. And by the way, they've got probably, in my opinion, they've got the best quarterback in college football, Caleb Williams. They've got a dynamic receiver, Jordan Addison. They've got a really awesome offense. I really believe in USC as a program right now. They got so many new players. I read like 39 new players this offseason. October 15th, USC's got one of their tougher games. They play at Utah. November 19th against UCLA is a tough game. And then they host on November 26th Notre Dame. I think it's very possible USC is going to go 12-0 this year. And then if they win the Pac-12 title game, 13-0. A 13-0 USC who dominates the Pac-12, very likely, in my opinion, makes it into the college football playoff. And I think that's a high possibility. Do they win a game against an SEC program? Probably not. But they got to beat Utah and Notre Dame. Basically, that's it. They've got an easy schedule. They've got a dominant football program who's going to, I think, decimate the rest of the Pac-12. And keep your eye. Utah's out. Oregon's out. USC is the only hope for the Pac-12 to make it into the college football playoff. But I think, actually, they've got a decent shot. Now, Texas beat Louisiana Monroe 52-10 on Saturday. Was it Saturday? It might have been Sunday. I couldn't find the game. I had to watch it online on YouTube. I might not. I don't have the Longhorn Network, and I think it wasn't on any major network except for the Longhorn Network. So I couldn't find the game. I had to find a way to... I'm not going to tell you how I watched it, but you can do the math. I found it on Reddit somewhere. The new quarterback at Texas, Quinn Ewers, is unreal. I love this guy. Quinn Ewers makes everything look easy. It's like watching a quarterback in a video game. He just makes any throw from any arm angle. And Quinn Ewers has a bright future. In my opinion, Texas, not surprisingly, I expect them to lose next week to Alabama. This coming week in week 2, Alabama's probably going to dominate Texas. Now, there is a small chance, though, even if they lose, there's a small chance that Texas's quarterback, Quinn Ewers, could give Alabama problems similar to the way that Johnny Manziel did against Alabama years ago. Because Quinn Ewers plays like Patrick Mahomes. He's extending plays. He's making throws that you're like, I didn't even know you could attempt that. Like sidearm stuff from every arm angle possible. He's free. He's loose. I walked away from just week 1, Texas playing Louisiana Monroe and felt like, wow, Quinn Ewers is legit. Even if Alabama and Texas gets ugly, Quinn Ewers flew to the top of my most exciting quarterbacks to watch list this weekend. And Quinn Ewers is a really, really talented quarterback who he's young. He's got a lot of time to grow and develop as a quarterback. And his starting point is unbelievable. But what he can do is he can make throws from different arm angles and positions that other quarterbacks simply cannot make. And from an NFL perspective, that gets really exciting. When you compare Quinn Ewers to a guy like Cam Rising or JT Daniels, he's more limited and not as mobile and can't make those kind of throws with that kind of poise, and Quinn Ewers is throwing ropes, man, just on a line. I just think that arm talent is really special and rare, and NFL talent evaluators go, ooh, that guy can make throws other people can't. Let's give him a look. And Quinn Ewers is certainly going to have NFL opportunities in the future, and I'm very, very excited to watch him. After just 1 week against Louisiana Monroe, I was like, well, that looks a little bit different. So keep Quinn Ewers on your radar. Now, Monday night, Clemson beat Georgia Tech 41-10. Wasn't a very compelling game. Clemson right now, I believe they're the number 5 team in the nation. I'm not convinced at all. It was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. Georgia Tech actually made it 14-10 in the second half. And then finally, Clemson pulled away later in the second half. But look, Clemson's defense looked really good. Their special teams were awesome. Clemson blocked 2 punts. But I walked away very, very unconvinced by Clemson's quarterback, DJ Uiagalelei. Yes, he looked better than he did last year. He made progress. He looks thinner. He made some good throws. But they're talking about how we got to give our quarterback confidence. I'm like, dude, if you don't have confidence as a quarterback, it's over. And I think at Clemson kind of coddling him and trying to elevate him and pump him up as best they can. And that's good coaching, and that's very caring of him. And look, even in fairness to DJ, I thought he threw some good balls down the sideline that were not caught that probably should have been. But I'll tell you what, watching Clemson's offense on Monday night, they look clunky. It wasn't great, and it wasn't something that made me feel very confident in them. And as I look ahead at Clemson's schedule, they've got 4, 5, maybe even 6 games they're going to lose if they don't make a change at quarterback. With DJ at quarterback, I'm not confident they're going to play well against, they play on the road at Wake Forest, they play at Florida State, they play at Notre Dame, they play Louisville, who's got Malik Cunningham, who's really good. Miami's got a new coach and a really good quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke. South Carolina's got Spencer Rattler. If they can find a way to make it into the ACC title game, they're going to play probably Pittsburgh or Wake Forest. I'm not sure they're going to beat either of those teams. Here's what I'm saying. You cannot convince me that DJ Uiagalelei is the best quarterback for this football team. In garbage time, true freshman quarterback Cade Klubnik looked better. He runs the ball better. He runs the offense better. I think he throws the ball better downfield. I'll be honest, if there's not a change made at quarterback, I'm really worried about Clemson because I just don't think DJ Uiagalelei, with no disrespect, I don't think he's the quarterback who's going to elevate them enough so they can win really tough games on the road at Wake Forest, at Florida State, at Notre Dame, playing an SEC team like South Carolina. I just don't believe he's the guy best suited for that task. Cade Klubnik looks calm, looks ready. I think he's got something there. And I guess the question as I ask you, as I see this impending doom coming, can Cade Klubnik save the season for Clemson? I think he can, but they got to make that move sooner than later before they play on the road at Florida State, before at, Wake Forest, before at Notre Dame. They got to make a change sooner than later. And I am worried if they don't, you're going to have another middling year for Clemson, who, by the way, is better than that. They've got a good defense. They've got good special teams. They've got good coaching. They've got a quarterback problem. And I think Cade Klubnik is the answer for Clemson. We'll see. That's a prediction, but I'm worried about DJ Uiagalelei and the fact that I don't think he's good enough to elevate them when they need him. By the way, Wake Forest quarterback Sam Hartman is back. Apparently, he finally figured it out. He had a blood clot issue. By the way, a good buddy of mine had a blood clot issue. He got his leg amputated. Like, that's a big deal. Blood clots. They suck. They're scary. I'm glad Sam Hartman's okay. He's been cleared to play as I hit the mic. By the way, though, I thought week 1, the backup quarterback at Wake Forest made an incredible throw on the run, throwing a touchdown on a corner route. I was like, wow, that's a great ball. So they got talent over there at Wake Forest at the quarterback position. But Sam Hartman is back. And with Sam Hartman, Wake Forest is a really, really scary, formidable team in college football that has an opportunity to maybe win the ACC title this year. I think it's going to be, look, Miami's better than last year. They got a new coach. Pitt is really good. Clemson's trying, but they got to make a change at quarterback. Louisville's interesting. There's a lot of talent and competition right now in the ACC, and I think it's up for grabs, but I think Wake Forest and Pittsburgh right now are the two best teams in the ACC to keep your eye on. Now, a week ago, speaking of the ACC, by the way, during this game on Thursday night, I saw, for the first ever time, a Bryce Young Heisman House commercial. I love that. I love that Bryce Young, it's a whole different era now. You can have guys who are still in college in national primetime commercials. I think it's really fun. I think it's very cool. Love seeing that. Now, a week ago, that game on Thursday night, we had the backyard brawl where Pitt beat West Virginia 38-31. It was such a fun game. I had a great time. Pitt, West Virginia, it was awesome. I thought Pitt quarterback Keaton Slovis looked really, really good. I got to say this about Keaton Slovis, man. He just makes great decisions. Every single decision is pretty much perfect. He had one throw that I thought was bad. The defender caught an interception. He jumped the route, but he was out of bounds. Could have been an interception against a different corner, maybe. Otherwise, pretty much perfect from Keaton Slovis. He had a couple throwaways, took maybe more sacks than you like, but he's safe. He's not going to lose you the game. And, man, he made some good throws. Now, West Virginia's new quarterback, JT Daniels, played well as well, Played well as well. I don't like that. Played well, too, in my opinion. You got to respect the way JT Daniels handled pressure. He got hit a ton and had constant pressure in his face over and over and over again. And he just hung in there and made some really good throws. I walked away admiring JT Daniels. He had one where he got lucky. It hit as he threw. A ball went like straight up in the air. Thankfully, a receiver caught it for a first down. That was crazy. Probably should have been a pick. But I'm excited to watch JT Daniels this year. But I felt bad for the guy. He had pressure constantly in his face, and I hope they can clean that up and figure out better protection for him moving forward. Now, part of that's because Pittsburgh's defense is just really good. They got a good defensive line. They generate a lot of pressure, but I felt for JT Daniels on Thursday. Now, the most painful moment of the game came near the end of the fourth quarter. JT Daniels made a throw to Bryce Ford-Wheaton. The ball bounces right off Bryce Ford-Wheaton's hands, up in the air. Pitt grabbed it, took it for a pick six and a touchdown. That gave Pitt the 38-31 lead. And that was a drive where West Virginia was trying to make it 38-31 and take the lead. Instead, ball bounces off the receiver's hands, gets picked off, goes for a touchdown. And here's why it's most painful. Otherwise, Bryce Ford-Wheaton played a really good game. I thought he was a go-to target. He's the man for them. It's sad. Now, West Virginia tried to put together a touchdown drive to tie it up, but they came up short. And I don't know. I walked away very satisfied. West Virginia, Pittsburgh, it was a fun game. It was close. It was intense. It came down to the wire. And I don't know. The backyard brawl is back. And what a fun matchup. By the way, it's a weird note here, but this was the best officiated game I thought I saw all weekend, where the referees had a lot of challenging calls they had to make, and they kept going with common sense. There were things that were really close, that were razor thin. They got it right every single time, and I thought the refs nailed the little details in this game between Pittsburgh and West Virginia. Now, there were a couple other big games I want to talk about. Ohio State beat Notre Dame 21-10. It's actually closer than I thought. I thought Ohio State was going to dominate Notre Dame. They didn't quite. So shout out to Notre Dame. They did struggle to move the ball in the second half. In the second half, the better team won in the end. Ohio State did. But hey, shout out to Notre Dame. They made it a game. They made it interesting. And we'll keep our eye on how they do moving forward. Arkansas beat Cincinnati 31-24. Arkansas led the entire game. But Cincinnati made it closer than I thought. I was a little bit disrespectful. I'm not going to lie. When I was watching the game on Saturday, talking to my friends, I'm like, dude, I don't give Cincinnati a chance at all. And, hey, they made it a 7-point game, better than I thought. And well done to Cincinnati. I tip my cap. And then NC State barely beat East Carolina. They should have lost. East Carolina University missed a late extra point that would have tied the game. They also missed what would have been the game-winning field goal. Horrible day for kickers there, and what a sad opportunity for East Carolina. I thought they were going to beat NC State, and they didn't. I watched that kick. I was like, oh, man, they missed. I can't believe it. Finally, Houston against University of Texas San Antonio, UTSA, was super fun. I watched the entire fourth quarter and overtime of that game. Houston won in triple overtime, 37-35. It was such a fun game. If you haven't watched it, go find it on YouTube. The highlights are great. Really a good time. I love when games go to overtime. Anytime you get overtime, I'm excited. And Houston, man, I want to see them rise as a program. I don't know that it's a great ode for them to be barely beating UTSA. It is a division rivalry, but still, like, ugh, come on, guys. Now, currently, the top 5 rankings in college football are number 1, Alabama, number 2, Georgia. I tend to agree. I think Alabama and Georgia are the 2 best teams in college football right now. I would imagine that is a potential matchup again in the college football playoff. 3rd right now is Ohio State. Fair enough, you beat Notre Dame, but I really thought they should have dominated by more. It's interesting. People think that, their quarterback at Ohio State is C.J. Stroud is the best quarterback in college football. I beg to differ. I really think that Caleb Williams is better. Bryce Young is better at Alabama. And to be totally honest, this is very blasphemous. You can't say this, but I'm about to. I think Quinn Ewers might be more talented than C.J. Stroud. I think a lot of what makes C.J. Stroud look really good, he makes some good throws. He's a good quarterback. I'm not taking anything away from him, although maybe I am. I think part of what makes him look so good is that he's got great teammates around him and a great team and a stacked roster that helps him. But that might be a totally blasphemous thing to say. We'll see how the weeks go on if I change my mind on that. The 4th-ranked team right now is Michigan. They started Cade McNamara on Saturday. They're going to start J.J. McCarthy in week 2. We'll see how that goes. And the 5th-ranked team in college football is Clemson. I worry Clemson's a bit of a fraud. I do not trust their quarterback in a bigger game, DJ Uiagalelei. I am calling for it now. Clemson has to make a change to Cade Klubnik, the true freshman quarterback. I think he's the right guy for the job, and that is who I would feel more comfortable with at quarterback for Clemson in bigger games and more important matchups. All right. Guess what today is? Today is where we do part 2 of quarterback storylines. I'm going to talk about what I want from quarterbacks this year, what I expect. We got 16 quarterbacks to talk about. We'll talk about their top storylines and challenges that they have to overcome this year. But first, I'm going to take a short break because it's very hot. I need to turn my fan on, need to open the window, cool down a little bit. My name is Zach Schomler. I'm going to take a short break. I will be right back. All right, we are back. Hope we're doing very, very well. It is time for Quarterback Storylines Part 2. We've got 16 quarterbacks to talk about today. And I want to start in Denver. So, Russell Wilson just moved to Denver this offseason. He's now the Denver Broncos' new starting quarterback. Then at the beginning of September, a couple days ago, Russ signed a new 5-year extension worth $245 million with $165 million guaranteed. And that is an insane amount of money, but I feel way better about that amount of money than I do giving Kyler Murray that amount of money because Russell Wilson has earned it to this point. Remember, in my opinion, Russell Wilson is a future Hall of Fame quarterback. And this year, I want to see him remind people of that. It starts week 1 on the road, Monday Night Football against his old team on the road at the Seattle Seahawks. Now, there are some obvious challenges for Russ this year. First of all, he's on a new team and in a really, really tough division. All 4 teams in the AFC West this year could make the playoffs. You've got Denver, I think is going to be better with Russ, but you've also got Vegas, the LA Chargers, Kansas City. Plus, on top of being in a really good division, Russ has a new coach this year, Nathaniel Hackett, a guy who has never been a head coach before in the NFL. So that's a concern. How is the new coach going to fare? Also, one of his receivers, Tim Patrick, tore his ACL in training camp, so that's a big loss as well. Now, that said, I still expect big things from Denver. Things got stagnant in Seattle with Russ. In my opinion, Seattle did not properly support Russell Wilson. He needed a fresh start. He's getting that this year in Denver. And I also really believe that nationally, Russell Wilson has been, for his entire career, underappreciated during his time in Seattle. He was kind of buried up north in the Northwest. And I don't think Russ needs to win a Super Bowl or anything this year. He just needs to look really, really good and remind people that he's a future Hall of Fame quarterback. If he does that, if he plays really well, and win a lot of games, they're a team that I hope that when you walk away from Denver this year, you're saying to yourself, hey, I really don't want my team to play Denver because I'm not sure we're going to beat them. As long as Denver's a formidable team that you're scared of, then Russ did his job this year. And That's the goal for Russell Wilson this year. If they win a Super Bowl, great. They win the playoffs, great. But if they make the playoffs, great. But really, the goal and what I expect from Russell Wilson this year is that people walk away going, oh, yeah, that's who that guy is. He deserves the money. He's a massive talent, and he's a future Hall of Fame quarterback. If people walk away with that takeaway this year from the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson, I think it will have been a successful year, in my eyes at least. Jared Goff is a quarterback in Detroit for the Lions. He's been through a lot. Jared Goff, think about the last couple of years for Jared Goff. He lost a Super Bowl. He got dumped by the Rams and Sean McVay as head coach. He got replaced by Matthew Stafford. Then LA won the year they got rid of him. They won a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. Meanwhile, Jared Goff got kind of exiled off to Detroit, a really bad losing franchise, a team that since 2000, Detroit's only had 5 winning seasons at all. And it would give me so much joy if I could say that Jared Goff is the guy who turned the Detroit Lions into a winning franchise. That is what I want this year. And really, it's not a one-year deal. This is the goal for the next couple of years for the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff. Matthew Stafford did something that Jared Goff failed to do in LA. He won a Super Bowl with the LA Rams. But I'm hoping that Jared Goff can do something that Matthew Stafford was never able to pull off in Detroit. I want to see Jared Goff win. I want to see Detroit win. And not just this year, like for years to come. I want to see Detroit change their culture and become a winning franchise. And I think they've got the coach to do it. Dan Campbell, their head coach, is awesome. I really believe in him. And they've put some talent around Jared Goff on both sides of the ball. They drafted a really good defensive end, Aiden Hutchinson. They also drafted a rookie receiver in the first round, Jameson Williams. Now, Jameson Williams tore his ACL in the national title game playing for Alabama, so he's going to miss at least the first 4 games of the year. But when he's healthy, I think you're onto something there. I think they've got a good team around Jared Goff in every aspect of the team. Last year, they drafted Penei Sewell. They drafted a receiver. The defensive line is better. They've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got weapons around Jared Goff and good players everywhere. So I'm hopeful for Jared Goff. I think he can win, and I want him to win. But on a personal note, I really admire Jared Goff and who Jared Goff is off the field. Has anyone ever seen videos? I have, of Jared Goff and the way he interacts with children. It's really cool. It's very heartwarming. And Jared Goff is so good at using his platform as an NFL quarterback. He donates a ton of money. He treats people really well. And Jared Goff seems like a guy who'd be really awesome to talk to and have a beer with off the field. So I find myself, not only because I like him as a person, but because I like his story. Matthew Stafford did something he failed to do in LA. But what if Jared Goff could do something Matthew Stafford failed to do in Detroit, which has changed the culture for real in Detroit, make them a winning organization? I'm rooting for Jared Goff, and I just want to see him win in Detroit. Now, how about New Orleans? Jameis Winston is the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. And this is Jameis Winston's last opportunity to become a franchise quarterback. He was a former number 1 overall pick. He was drafted number 1 overall by Tampa in 2015. He got replaced in Tampa, and they replaced him with Tom Brady. That's an understandable move. But last time we saw Jameis Winston as a full-time starter, yeah, he led the NFL in passing yards. He had 33 touchdown passes, but he also had 30 interceptions. He got replaced for a reason. He wasn't getting it done. And last year, Jameis was supposed to be the starting quarterback in New Orleans. And I was pumped, man. I was really excited to watch him. I was very hopeful. But he only made it 6.5 games before he tore his ACL. Ironically, by the way, against his old team, Tampa. So we never really got to see what Jameis was going to become in Tampa. He had 14 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, got hurt. The year got cut short. This year, there's a pretty good team around Jameis. There's a ton of receivers. You got Michael Thomas. You've got Jarvis Landry. Chris Olave is a new first-round pick. Getting Jarvis Landry, by the way, unbelievable. Didn't think they'd get a receiver that talented on top of Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. They've got a good offensive line. They've got Alvin Kamara at running back. They've got a good defense. New Orleans is low-key loaded with talent. They just need good quarterback play. So I think if Jameis can deliver that. Now, there is one thing that I am concerned about with New Orleans. They've got a new head coach, Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen was once the head coach of the Raiders years ago, from 2012 to 2014. In that 2.5 years, he went 8-24. He had 2 4-12 seasons in a row. And once he started 2014 0-4, he got fired. So Dennis Allen, last time he was a head coach, it wasn't great. But also last time Jameis Winston was a starting quarterback, it wasn't great. They've got parallel stories. They both are trying to prove themselves in a new opportunity in New Orleans. And, man, this Saints team has way more talent than any of those Raiders teams ever had that Dennis Allen was coaching. So I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful. I'm pumped to see Jameis Winston play his former team Tampa twice this year, week 2 and then again week 13. And frankly, even without Jameis, the Saints have recently dominated Tampa. So I'm really hoping we get to see Jameis Winston get his revenge against his former team. That would be really, really cool to see. So he's got a good team around him. That means, though, there's no excuses for Jameis Winston this year. This is Jameis Winston's final opportunity to become a franchise quarterback, and I think he's going to do really well. But if it doesn't work out here, he's not going to get another opportunity, especially not one this good with a great team around him in a good situation like New Orleans. So I'm hopeful. I want to see Jameis get revenge against his former team, but if it doesn't work out here, he's never going to get another shot like this ever again. I'm going to drink some water, then we'll talk about the Patriots. The New England Patriots last year made the NFL playoffs with a rookie quarterback, Mac Jones. Then they lost in the offseason their longtime offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniels. He left to go be the Raiders head coach. So now there is no clear offensive coordinator in New England for the Patriots. They do have, during the preseason, Matt Patricia and Joe Judge split the play calling duties. And Jeff Howe from The Athletic has reported that Matt Patricia is the Patriots' de facto offensive coordinator. But no matter who's calling plays in New England, it's not going to be Josh McDaniels anymore. And that does feel significant. Losing Josh McDaniels is a big deal, and that feels like an obstacle to me. So who's the offensive coordinator? Is he going to be as good as last year? Probably not. I've also heard people say that the Patriots have no weapons on offense. Now, that's not true. I don't agree with that. The Patriots have got 2 really good stud tight ends that should not be overlooked. They've got Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. Their receiving core isn't that impressive. They've got Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, and Jacoby Myers. But I would say that receiving core's got some experience, and you pair the receiving core with 2 good tight ends and a good running game, there's actually a good opportunity here. The Patriots are better than people realize on offense. Now, Mac Jones, their quarterback, how do I put this? He's not exactly a dynamic athlete who's going to be running around and making plays outside the pocket and running for a bunch of yards. But he makes good decisions, and Mac Jones has already proven he can win in the NFL. So, look back at last year. Mac Jones was a day 1 starter last year as a rookie. He started 17 regular season games. He made the playoffs, and the big question moving forward is how much better can Mac Jones get? Can Mac Jones take a big step forward this fall? The AFC West is absolutely loaded with talent. They've got Denver, LA, Kansas City, Vegas out west. You've got Buffalo, who looks like a playoff team in the AFC East. You've got Miami, New York. They both look better. So the AFC playoff picture in general, I think, is going to be loaded with a bunch of really good football teams. The Ravens are going to try to make a comeback with Lamar. The Bengals are going to be good. The Browns, if they can survive the Deshaun Watson suspension, should be a good football team. So the AFC playoff picture is going to be really, really competitive. And New England made the playoffs last year at 10-7. I'm not sure that record's going to make the playoffs again this year. So the question is, can Mac Jones take a big step forward and help his team make the playoffs again this fall in 2020? Let's talk about the 49ers. The 49ers have a new starting quarterback, Trey Lance. He was last year's number 3 overall pick, and Trey Lance has a lot to prove. I'm hoping Trey Lance plays incredible. Cross your fingers. Let's hope for that. He's got potential similar to a guy like Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. He's a big athlete, can run, got a massive arm. And the 49ers also have got a good team around him. They've got an impressive defense. They've got a good offensive line, a good running game. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk at receiver, George Kittle at tight end. I'm very hopeful that the 49ers could be good and that I believe very much that they're giving Trey Lance all the tools he needs to be successful. In fact, they've got a new quarterback coach I really like. They've got Brian Griese, a former NFL quarterback and former Monday Night Football broadcaster. I'd imagine he's going to be really good for Trey Lance. But, there's a lot of pressure on Trey Lance this fall, and it feels like there's going to be a short fuse if he screws up because the 49ers did something very, very weird this offseason. They brought back their old quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. The team and him made a separation. He was their quarterback last year. They said, we're going to replace you with Trey Lance. He wanted to get traded away. Then they gave him a 1-year contract extension. By the way, with a no-trade clause, so he's not going to get traded. I think part of that was Jimmy Garoppolo wanted to choose where his next opportunity is going to be. He wanted to become a free agent. But bringing Jimmy Garoppolo back did not give me a lot of confidence in Trey Lance, or really didn't make me feel like the 49ers have a lot of confidence in Trey Lance. It's very weird. And it feels like Jimmy G is a looming threat sitting right behind Trey Lance. And I worry that if Trey Lance screws up at all, 49ers fans are going to be calling for Jimmy Garoppolo to become the starting quarterback and replace Trey Lance. Is it possible the 49ers simply want Jimmy Garoppolo as a backup? I guess. It's possible they want him if he gets hurt because Trey Lance does run around a lot. Maybe he does get hurt this year. But it's a very weird scenario, and there's a lot of pressure when you replace a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo has taken the 49ers on multiple deep and long playoff runs. In 2019, they lost the Super Bowl. Last year in 2021, they went to the NFC title game and ran into a brick wall called the LA Rams. I mean, Trey Lance has got a lot to prove, and there's a lot of pressure on him to perform, and I don't think they're helping Trey Lance by keeping Jimmy Garoppolo and bringing him back. So we'll see. A lot of pressure on the guy. I'm hopeful, though. I think there's a good team around him. He's very talented. I want to see him prove himself, but I'd feel a lot better if they hadn't made that weird, confusing move to bring Jimmy Garoppolo back. We'll find out. Is it because they don't believe in Trey Lance? Is it because they just wanted a good backup? I'm not really sure. I get that they didn't want to let Jimmy Garoppolo go away for nothing. If they cut him, they would have had to pay him to be on someone else's team, so they refused to cut him. But I'm excited. I want to watch Trey Lance do great. I'm hopeful for him. Hope he's got a smooth sailing, incredible, sophomore year, first year as a starting quarterback. But the Jimmy Garoppolo move definitely muddied the water and made me very confused as to the confidence level the 49ers have in their young quarterback, Trey Lance. Now, Ace wrote in with a question on Patreon. You can write in on Patreon as well. Go to patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. Ace wrote in and said, what do you think of Jimmy Garoppolo reworking his contract to remain in San Francisco for one more year? More importantly, how poorly does Trey Lance have to play before Kyle Shanahan reverts back to Jimmy G? Or do you think it would take an injury to see Jimmy G back on the field as a starter? Like I said, bringing Jimmy G back was a weird move. It sends the message that the 49ers do not trust their quarterback, Trey Lance. And I'll repeat it. I think the trade market was very weak. They didn't want to pay him or trade him for nothing or pay him to cut him and pay him to play on another football team. And Jimmy Garoppolo is a very good backup quarterback. Here's what I think it would take to get Jimmy G back on the field as a starting quarterback for the 49ers. Either an injury to Trey Lance, which is very possible. His play style puts his body at risk a lot. But also, if Trey Lance is losing games and he's the reason why they're losing, that would be a call right there to say, hey, we pulled the trigger too early on this Trey Lance thing. We've got one more year with Jimmy G. We're going to play Jimmy Garoppolo a little more because your locker room is a fragile beast. And when your locker room, the teammates around Trey Lance, if they lose confidence in Trey Lance and they think he's not the best quarterback to help them win games, they want to win. And if they think Jimmy Garoppolo can win them games, you got to play Jimmy Garoppolo because you don't want to lose games and be putting your second best quarterback on the field. So I just think that the 49ers created a really uncomfortable scenario for themselves by bringing back Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm really interested to see how it's going to play out this fall. Guys, I'm going to take a short break. I need to clear my throat. I need to cool off a little bit. My name is Zach Schomler. I'm going to take a short break. I will be right back. All right, we are back. Hope you're doing very, very well. Let me turn off my personal little fan. I told you guys when I started this episode this was going to be a hot and sweaty one. It has been exactly that. If you want to go back and look at how I was when I started the episode to now, I feel like a sweaty hot mess. Anyway, let's carry on. Justin Herbert is the LA Chargers starting quarterback, and I'm not going to lie to you, I do not anticipate a lot of challenges for Justin this fall. I expect him to be one of the very best quarterbacks in the NFL, potentially even a top 3, definitely a top 4 quarterback. He's going to be a ton of fun to watch, and he does play in a tough division, but LA is loaded, and they've got a good offensive line. They've got Austin Eckler at running back. They've got 2 stud receivers, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. On defense, LA has Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Derwin James, J.C. Jackson's coming back from an injury, Kyle Van Noy, Asante Samuel Jr. at corner. They've got a ton of great players everywhere, and there are high expectations in LA, as there should be. Some people are talking about a Super Bowl, though. And I would say, hey, I hear you. I get it. I actually believe LA is a dark horse Super Bowl team as well. But you got to go one step at a time. And Justin Herbert hasn't even ever made the playoffs yet. So, you look at LA last 2 years, they've barely missed the playoffs 2 years in a row with Justin Herbert as their starting quarterback. How about you start small? Can Justin Herbert make the playoffs? That's the question this year. That's how I think the Chargers season is going to be defined and how Justin Herbert's year is going to be defined. Can he make a playoff appearance for the first time in his career? I think he can. I definitely believe that, but that's the first hurdle he's got to get over. Then we can talk about other stuff, but I think personally he's a top 4, maybe top 3 talent in the NFL at the quarterback position. He's incredible. He's getting better every year, and I have very, very high expectations for Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers this fall. How about another? So Justin Herbert's a former Oregon quarterback. Let's talk about another former Oregon quarterback. Marcus Mariota is the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, and this is a really cool story because Marcus Mariota is getting a second chance. In 2019, he lost his starting job with Tennessee and got replaced by Ryan Tannehill. Then he spent 2 years as a Raiders backup quarterback in Vegas, and people don't realize Mariota's still a young guy. He's actually 28 years old. He'll be 29 on October 30th. But I didn't really think he would ever get another opportunity to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He was a number 2 overall pick in 2015. And by the way, guess who was part of Tennessee when he got drafted? Arthur Smith at the time was the assistant tight ends coach for the Tennessee Titans. He is now the Falcons' current head coach. And at the time when Mariota got benched in 2019, Arthur Smith was in fact the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans when Mariota lost his job. So my point there is they have a relationship between the two of each other. And clearly they don't hate each other because they reunited and it seems to be going very, very well. Now Atlanta's got some solid receiving core. They've got solid receiving options, I should say. They've got a tight end, Kyle Pitts, who I really, really like. They've got a first-round receiver. And by the way, the first receiver drafted in the NFL draft, Drake London. They also got this new receiver brought in from Vegas, Bryan Edwards, a guy who I think has a lot of potential and who, because of them playing together for 2 years in Vegas, Bryan Edwards and Marcus Mariota have a connection already. They know they've got potential there. On top of that, Atlanta's got an awesome running back receiver hybrid, Cordero Patterson. I look at Atlanta and go, they've got some solid offensive weapons. I'm excited to see what they can do. Now, Atlanta did draft a quarterback, Desmond Ridder, in the 3rd round of the NFL draft. I wonder if at any point this year, maybe Desmond Ridder is going to come off the bench and start for them. I don't know. But either way, I find myself this fall very much rooting for Marcus Mariota. I did not expect him to get another chance to become a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I hope to see Marcus Mariota dominate. I would love to see that. I think it's awesome. Remember, by the way, Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston were the number 1 and number 2 picks in the 2015 NFL draft. They're now in the same division. Mariota and Jameis Winston are going to play each other twice this year. That's awesome. That's exciting. And I just think that Mariota might be better than people realize. And I'm really hoping he can prove himself and make a name for himself round 2 as a starting quarterback for him. He's been kind of cast away for 2 years, and man, am I hopeful he really kills it in his new opportunity in Atlanta. The Buffalo Bills are one of the Super Bowl favorites around the NFL. Last year, they lost a crazy playoff game to Kansas City, where the game went to overtime, and Josh Allen never got the ball. That sparked a lot of debate about overtime rules and how they should work during the NFL playoffs. But this year, Buffalo has another really good football team. And the question is, to me, can the Bills quarterback Josh Allen show that he's the best quarterback in the NFL? I think he's very close, if not maybe the very best guy in the league. The top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, in my opinion, are in no particular order: Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes, followed very closely behind by Justin Herbert. Now, there are some concerns in Buffalo. Number one is this. They lost their offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll. He's the guy who gets credited for developing Josh Allen. He is now the New York Giants head coach. That's a tough loss. I don't care who you are. Now, good news is the Bills are going to keep some continuity. Last year's quarterback coach and passing game coordinator, Ken Dorsey, is staying in Buffalo. He got elevated to become the offensive coordinator. So a lot of the offense stays the same. The verbiage, the protections, that's really good for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Otherwise, losing Brian Daboll's a big deal. I don't see a lot of concerns or a lot of challenges in front of Buffalo. I like their football team. They've got a good defense. They've got Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis catching passes. Dawson Knox at tight end, a good running game. Buffalo has to avoid injuries, obviously, but they're a Super Bowl favorite for a reason. And I will say their division's getting better. New England was a playoff team last year. The Jets have talent. Miami's making progress. They got a new coach and Tyreek Hill. Plus, also, Miami's got humidity in December, which is always hard to go play in. But it's hard for me to imagine Buffalo struggling this year. The AFC West is a lot better than when Tom Brady dominated in New England. And they got to stay healthy, but Buffalo has a shot at a Super Bowl. The question I wonder is, not only can they win a Super Bowl this year, which they legitimately have an opportunity to do, but I wonder if Josh Allen can show he's the very best quarterback in the NFL. I think that's very possible, and I'm excited, man. The Bills are a great football team. It's going to be a show and a great joy to watch them this year. And I look forward to those games, big matchups against good teams for the Buffalo Bills. They're going to kick off the NFL season on Thursday night against the Rams. It's going to be awesome. And I'm really excited to watch Josh Allen this fall at quarterback for Buffalo. Now, the big question in Tampa is this Tom Brady's last year in the NFL? He retired, then he unretired. He left training camp for a bit. Tom Brady took 11 days off. Seems like there's something going on in his personal life. There's a lot of rumors swirling around him and his wife, Gisele Bündchen. It could have been a reset. I know that during the Deflategate scandal, Tom Brady took some weeks off and went to Costa Rica with his wife. And, I think a better question, a lot of people are asking, is this Tom Brady's final year? I think a better question is, let's assume this is Tom Brady's final year. Can he win another Super Bowl in that last year? Because they've got concerns on the offensive line. Their center, Ryan Jensen, has a bad knee injury and is on the injured reserve. Who knows when or if he will come back. They've got a rookie left guard, Luke, I always get this, Gedeke. Luke Gedeke. It's spelled Godeke. Luke Gedeke is their new rookie left guard. I think I said left tackle. I meant left guard on the Buccaneers offensive line. So having a rookie left guard, Luke Gedeke, losing your starting center, Tom Brady isn't the most mobile quarterback in the NFL. So having 2 question marks on his offensive line, that's a big deal to me. And they do have a good defense. They've got an awesome receiving core. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. They added Russell Gage. No one's talking about how big of a move that is. Tampa also added Julio Jones, which Julio Jones last year did not work in Tennessee. They traded a second-round pick to get him. He wasn't great. And I want to find out. It's going to be fun to, in fact, kind of do some detective work and watch as the year goes on. Was the problem last year Julio Jones or Tennessee? Why did that pairing not work? We'll find out. But I think it's going to be awesome to watch Tom Brady throw the ball to Julio Jones. They've also got 2 interesting tight ends that are solid. They've got Kyle Rudolph and Cameron Brate. Tom Brady's 45 years old. Is age ever going to catch up to him? Is it ever going to impact his career? I'm not sure. I don't know. On top of that, he did lose his head coach, Bruce Arians, who stepped down after last year during the offseason. It's been a very weird offseason all around for Tampa. But I want to repeat something. I very much believe this is the final year that Tom Brady is going to ever play in the NFL. And I wonder, he's won 7 Super Bowls. Can he win another one? Can Tom Brady win Super Bowl number 8 before his career is over? He certainly has a good team, better than some. I don't like the question marks on the offensive line, but I'm very curious. If Tom Brady can get hot late and make a run, I think anything's possible. He certainly can win a Super Bowl. The question is will. But keep your eye on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers this year. And keep your eye on Julio Jones. I'm so excited and interested to watch him this fall and find out how much he's got left in the tank, if anything. And time's only going to tell with that one. So we'll see how the year goes for Tom Brady. Once again, can Tom Brady win Super Bowl number 8 in what I believe will be his final year in the NFL? All right, guys. I am really, really excited to watch Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City this fall. There's some fun storylines here. First of all, there's no Tyreek Hill. They traded him away to Miami. And they got new receivers in Kansas City, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster. He still has his tight end, Travis Kelce. And by the way, every once in a while, you hear people say stuff like, Mahomes is only good because he had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Obviously, that's absurd. That's total nonsense. But I am excited to watch Patrick Mahomes play with new receivers and maybe even prove himself a little bit this year. I think Marquez Valdes-Scantling is going to be a really big target over the middle that's going to get a lot of great catches and make big plays. And then I would encourage you to keep your eye on second-round rookie receiver Sky Moore, who is going to be moved all over the field. Receiver, running back. They've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back. There's a lot of talent still in Kansas City that people somehow maybe conveniently forget. Now, KC's division is absolutely loaded, and I'm really curious to find out how that will impact Patrick Mahomes at all. They've got a really great defense in Kansas City or in LA. They've got J.C. Jackson, who I was thinking of. They've got Kyle Van Noy. They've got Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. A lot of pressure on the defensive line, a great secondary, and a great quarterback, Justin Herbert. That game, the two they played this year are going to be legendary. L.A., Denver, Vegas, they're going to challenge Patrick Mahomes this year, and I don't think it's a shoo-in that Kansas City is going to win their division like normal this year. Now, the 4 best quarterbacks in football, in my opinion, are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, and then probably followed by Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. So I hope Pat can avoid injuries. I think that's really the only thing that can slow him down. He's just such a talented, really good quarterback. I also hope his wife and his brother are not a distraction on TikTok. I don't know how that would be, but people make a lot of big deal about how his brother's terrible on TikTok. Oh, I don't think he really cares, but keep your eye on that. Man, I'm just so excited. Patrick Mahomes is going to be involved in so many really fun games this fall. Week 1, you got Pat at Arizona against Kyler Murray and his former head coach in college, Cliff Kingsbury from Texas Tech. Week 2 is Mahomes against Justin Herbert. By the way, in that division, we get Mahomes against Herbert twice this year. Mahomes against Derek Carr 2 times this year. And now we get Russell Wilson against Patrick Mahomes 2 times this year. That's incredible. Week 4, Mahomes at Tom Brady. Week 6, the 2 best quarterbacks maybe in the league, Patrick Mahomes against Josh Allen in Kansas City. Week 13, he plays at Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. It's going to be a blast to watch the Patrick Mahomes show this year. And I just encourage everyone, enjoy it. Have fun. I don't know why. There's no reason to hate Patrick Mahomes. He seems like a wholesome dude. He's fun to watch, and there's interesting storylines in Kansas City. So I just encourage people, appreciate him while we got it. We don't know how long Patrick Mahomes is going to be in the NFL. I'm watching guys like Tom Brady reach the end of their career. Drew Brees just retired. Philip Rivers retired. Big Ben is gone. I don't know that I properly enjoyed the prime of those guys' careers enough. So I encourage you, enjoy these prime years of Patrick Mahomes playing in the NFL. It's going to be a blast to watch, and I hope you enjoy it. Now, Trevor Lawrence is the Jacksonville Jaguars starting quarterback. He's going into his second year. I'm really, really excited to watch Trevor Lawrence this fall. He was a number 1 overall pick last year. He had a train wreck of a head coach, Urban Meyer, who was awful and did him no favors. And it was ugly on and off the field. I mean, Urban Meyer caused problems. Trevor Lawrence also threw 12 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. It wasn't good. They were the worst team in the NFL. They got the number 1 overall pick for the second year in a row. Although I would encourage people to remember that Peyton Manning's rookie year, he threw for 28 interceptions. So it's not exactly a death knell to, have a bad year as a rookie. This year, though, Trevor Lawrence has got a new head coach, Doug Peterson, who is a former NFL quarterback himself. Doug Peterson also won a Super Bowl as a head coach in Philadelphia. So I think he's being put in a better scenario all around with Doug Peterson and what Jacksonville's doing. And they're really trying in Jacksonville, man. They drafted well. They brought in new receivers. Their new receiving core in Jacksonville is Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, Zay Jones from the Raiders. They got Laquan Treadwell, a former first-round pick. Laviska Shenault is awesome. They've got 2 good running backs, Travis Etienne and James Robinson. There's a lot of good talent around Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, in Jacksonville. And I'm excited for him to prove himself and show people why he was so highly regarded coming out of college. And I think really with the changes that Jacksonville made, Trevor Lawrence finally has a fighting chance, and I absolutely love that. By the way, Carson wrote in on Patreon. You can do that as well. Go to patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. Carson wrote in and said, did you see Trevor Lawrence? He says, do you see Trevor Lawrence making a big jump this year as a top 15 quarterback in the NFL? I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about what he's capable of, and I feel like he's going to remind everyone why he was a number 1 overall pick. I do see Trevor making a big jump this year. You can't quantify how bad things were last year under Urban Meyer, and I don't really know what it means for him to become a top 15 quarterback. I have no idea. Are you saying he'll be comparable to Kirk Cousins and Ryan Tannehill? I guess. I don't know, but I expect Trevor to do really well. And I believe that the emotion Jaguars fans are going to feel at the end of the year is very encouraged. Hey, Trevor's our guy. He's really good. We're doing the right stuff to take care of him and support him as a quarterback. And I feel good all around about Trevor Lawrence, the Jaguars' starting quarterback. Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray signed a massive contract this offseason worth $230 million. Now, the biggest obstacle that comes with a contract like that, in my opinion, is the pressure and the expectations. Kyler Murray has unreal talent, but to justify his crazy contract, he needs to do a couple things. He needs to at least win the division, the NFC West. He needs to have, I think, better stats than all the other quarterbacks in that division, better than Matthew Stafford and Trey Lance. Kyler Murray cannot get outshined this year by any other quarterback in that division. And really, he needs to become a top 5 quarterback and a dominant quarterback in this league that makes people afraid to play him. Frankly, like, if you're going to get paid that much money, you better be an Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, Josh Allen level quarterback that people go, oh crap, my team is playing that guy next week. That's terrifying. He doesn't have to do it all this year, but by next year, I expect that. And this year, he's got to win the division and cannot get outshined. There is a problem, though. Arizona's number 1 receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, has a 6-game suspension. That's going to hurt Kyler Murray for the first 6 games of the year. Now, they did trade for Ravens receiver Marquise Hollywood Brown. That's a big get. Good for them. But there's a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray this fall. He's got to make the playoffs. In the playoffs last year, he wilted. He was horrible. In a big moment, he was terrible and didn't show up. And then he had the audacity afterwards somehow to demand a contract from the Arizona Cardinals. It was very weird. I did not like how it went down. And we will see this fall if Kyler Murray will live up to the expectations that come along with a huge contract like he got this offseason. Okay, the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are going to have a boring and crappy offense. They've got some decent weapons, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett at receiver. They've got Noah Fant at tight end. Geno Smith won the Seahawks quarterback battle. That's cool. He won basically, though, because he was the safer option and is less likely to turn the ball over. You know, they just did not trust their young quarterback, Drew Lock. I really respect what Geno Smith did. I respect him as a quarterback. He does some decent stuff. He's a solid veteran quarterback who has made progress as his career has gone on. But Geno Smith is not a long-term answer at quarterback for Seattle, and I'm honestly really disappointed. I would have rather watched their young quarterback, Drew Lock. Drew Lock is 25. Geno Smith is 31. Drew Lock, you can at least lie to yourself and tell you he might become their franchise quarterback. Geno Smith is just not going to become that guy. And so Seattle's most likely going to draft a quarterback in this next year's NFL draft in 2023. What Seattle needs at quarterback is someone who's dynamic and a playmaker and going to elevate their franchise. They got rid of that by trading away Russell Wilson. And it's unfortunate because Drew Lock has some talent. I think Drew Lock has a massive arm. I so badly wanted him to become the guy, but I don't blame Seattle. They just don't trust him. They don't think they can win games with him. They don't think he can take care of the ball enough. They believe Geno Smith gives them a better chance to win football games, and I think that makes sense. The locker room will turn against you. If you play the worst quarterback of your two quarterbacks, the locker room is not going to fight as hard. They'll mutiny against the coach. It's not good. And like I said, I respect Geno Smith. We're going to see if DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Noah Fant can elevate Geno Smith. But he does some good stuff. He's come a long way since the beginning of his career when he was the almost franchise quarterback for the New York Jets. And from what I saw during the preseason, Geno Smith really did authentically win the starting quarterback job in Seattle. So, I don't know. As a result, though, because Geno Smith is not a potential franchise quarterback, he's just not a long-term option that is going to work for them for the next 10 years at quarterback. It does still feel like a wasted year for Seattle where they just got a quarterback who's a lame duck and going to get replaced after 1 year. That sucks. I don't like that. Maybe Geno Smith will be there next year to, if they draft, let's say, Bryce Young at Alabama, which I'm hoping happens, then maybe they're going to keep Geno Smith for a little longer. He can mentor Bryce Young till he's ready, something like that. But Geno Smith is not their future franchise quarterback. And because of that, this just feels like kind of a wasted year for the Seattle Seahawks, which I don't like to say, but it's true. They're fighting for every win they can get, and they're probably going to have a high first-round pick next fall, which they do desperately need to get a young quarterback who can replace what Russell Wilson left behind in Seattle. Derek Carr is a Raiders starting quarterback, and there are a lot of storylines relating to Derek Carr this fall. Number one, the Raiders traded for receiver Davante Adams. That's a huge deal. He's one of the best receivers in the entire NFL. They were teammates in college at Fresno State. I can't wait for that. It's going to be fun to watch Derek Carr throwing to Davante Adams. Now, Derek Carr does have a new head coach. Josh McDaniels, the new head coach, came over from New England. He was the former offensive coordinator for Tom Brady and Mac Jones in New England. And Josh McDaniels is learning having Josh McDaniels is going to cause Derek Carr to have to learn a new offense for the Raiders. But I don't think it's all bad. I think Josh McDaniels' system, where he's in the shotgun, getting the ball out of his hands quickly, I think it's frankly what Derek Carr's better at. It actually reminds me a lot more of the offense that Derek Carr ran in college at Fresno State. I don't know that John Gruden's offense was ever the best fit for Derek Carr. But remember, Derek Carr is not a flashy, mobile quarterback. He's not going to run for a bunch of yards or extend plays like crazy like guys like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. Derek Carr is not viewed as a top 5 quarterback around the NFL or even close. In fact, recently it was reported that the Raiders decided to go with Derek Carr instead of making a move to bring in Tom Brady. And a lot of people called the Raiders idiots for that. And you're going to see them compared a lot against each other between Derek Carr and Tom Brady. Personally, I thought it was the right choice. Derek Carr has got more years ahead of him. He's a better choice for them. I think Tom Brady would have come to Vegas and been disappointed that the team wasn't closer to competing for a Super Bowl. And I also really very much believe in Derek Carr. He's regularly been in dysfunctional situations on bad football teams. People tend to forget that. He's elevated bad situation after bad situation. In fact, last year, John Gruden got fired. They got they had an interim head coach. They lost their stud receiver, Henry Ruggs, and still Derek Carr and the Raiders made the playoffs. Like, no one gives him credit for that. It's very weird to me. Derek Carr I view as clutch, in fact. I think Derek Carr is awesome at big moments. I love the guy. The Raiders have some weapons around Derek Carr to throw to. They've got receivers like Davante Adams, who's a stud. They've also got Hunter Renfrow. They have tight end Darren Waller. That's awesome. Last year, the Raiders made the playoffs, and I'm not sure they're going to do that again this year. They had, Last year Denver had a bad quarterback. They've now got Russell Wilson. The Chargers barely missed the playoffs in that division. They got way better this offseason. I think the Chargers and LA are probably poised to make the playoffs this fall. Kansas City still has Mahomes. They've still got a bunch of good players going on in Kansas City. I believe this year what's going to happen with Derek Carr is he's going to have a great year, put up a bunch of big numbers, and look really impressive, and they're not going to make a playoff appearance. And they're going to hold that against Derek Carr, but I just think that, man, Derek Carr is easily one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks in the NFL, has been for years, and I think he's going to have a big year, put up big numbers, still miss the playoffs, and somehow still go underappreciated after this fall. Now, Davis Mills is the Houston Texans starting quarterback, and the big question this fall is, how good is Davis Mills, really? Is he good enough for them to justify passing on a quarterback in the next NFL draft? Because if Bryce Young from Alabama is available on draft day, are you really going to pass on Bryce Young and stay committed to Davis Mills? Currently, the answer is no. That would be a stupid, terrible decision. Now, it's on Davis Mills to change everybody's mind about that. I believe he will be solid. I do not believe he will be good enough for them to pass on a dynamic, mobile quarterback like, let's say, Bryce Young from Alabama. Davis Mills is awesome, though. He's a good decision maker. I like him a lot. But unfortunately, Houston is rebuilding. They've got a lot of concerns on defense. They do not have a great receiving core. Their only real dynamic player is Brandon Cooks. He had 90 catches for 1,000 yards last year, over 1,000 yards. I was excited to watch John Mechie, their third-round pick out of Alabama, but he's got leukemia. He's not going to play this year. So the receiving weapons are really sparse in Houston. And I will say they've got an awesome offensive coordinator. They've got Pep Hamilton, a guy who coached people like Andrew Luck and Justin Herbert. So Davis Mills is going to get some really good coaching, but Davis is on a lower tier team. I expect Houston to struggle, and they're going to have a high first-round pick next year. I think they're going to draft a quarterback to replace Davis Mills. However, that being said, let's acknowledge it. Davis Mills has an opportunity this fall where he could play really, really well, make it so that the team simply cannot afford to move on from him. If he does well enough, Houston might have to commit to him long-term, and that would be very, very cool. If Davis Mills plays well this year, maybe they don't commit to him. But it could also lead to an opportunity on another team where he's got a better opportunity to win anyway. So the better Davis Mills plays this year, the better his career is going to go. And it all depends on how does Davis Mills play this fall. I'm rooting for him, and I very much want to see Davis Mills do well this year in Houston. Okay, I need to drink some water, and I'm going to take a break real quick. Give me 1 sec. Daniel Jones is the New York Giants starting quarterback, and the question is, can the Giants' new head coach, Brian Daboll, save him? Can Daniel Jones be saved at all? Brian Daboll helped develop Josh Allen in Buffalo, and so maybe he can work some magic and fix Daniel Jones. That leads me to a question on Patreon. You can also write in on Patreon. Michael wrote in, as you can do. Go to patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. Michael says this. Giants fan here. Personally, I am so tired of all the Daniel Jones haters. I think worst case scenario with Jones, we honestly just don't know what he can be. He's had terrible higher-ups steering the ship, and well, I don't think getting Brian Daboll means he's the next Josh Allen. I think it at least has earned the kid a final chance. My question for you is, what's your honest assessment of Daniel Jones? This is Daniel Jones' last opportunity. I'm getting tired of waiting for him to develop. I'm frankly out of patience with Daniel Jones. The guy is limited, and I will try to have an open mind this year. I want to see what Daniel Jones can do. I want to see him explode. I want to see him become a star quarterback for the Giants. That would be awesome. But I don't believe that's going to happen. And I believe in Brian Daboll as a coach, but I do not believe in Daniel Jones as a quarterback. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to give Daniel Jones 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. And that's a point where I'm going to decide whether I give up on him or not. That leads me to another question on Patreon. Chanel said this. Chanel said, how likely or unlikely do you think it is that Tyrod Taylor will end up being the starting quarterback for the Giants towards the middle of the year? I genuinely believe that Tyrod Taylor is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. He's a better athlete. He's a better decision maker. He's better at extending plays. I'm hoping that Brian Daboll can work magic and make Daniel Jones into a great quarterback. I'm not confident that he can, though. And if Daniel Jones doesn't prove himself, he's got to be replaced. There are 6 games I'm going to wait and see. Tennessee, Carolina, Dallas, Chicago, the Green Bay Packers in London, and Baltimore. After the Ravens game, we're going to know whether or not Daniel Jones can be the Giants franchise quarterback. I'm going to give it 6 games. We'll find out. It'll be yes, no, or maybe. And maybe means no in this scenario. But I'm getting really tired of waiting for Daniel Jones to pop. The preseason was ugly and not great. And that's against backups and vanilla defenses. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it 6 games. I'll have the answer by week, whatever game they play, the Baltimore Ravens. I think it is week 6. After that game, I'll make a segment going like, well, we figured it out. He's good or not. And I just am getting really, really tired of waiting for Daniel Jones, especially, like I said, when Tyrod Taylor's sitting behind him, and I think he genuinely gives the Giants a better opportunity to win week in and week out. So it's going to be a hard year watching Daniel Jones, thinking all year that the backup quarterback's better than him. All right, I'm going to give a warning here. The rest of the episode, I'm going to talk about Formula One. If you don't like Formula One, this is your opportunity to walk away. Go have a great day. I appreciate you, but I'm going to talk about Formula One the rest of the episode. Oh, there's a squirrel out there. That's literally the moment where I'm like, squirrel. You know that movie where it's like, squirrel? That's what just happened to me. There's a squirrel right there. That's pretty cool. Let's talk about Formula One. On Sunday, we had the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort in the Netherlands. Max Verstappen won in front of his home crowd. Max Verstappen won. He also got 1 point for fastest lap. George Russell got second for Mercedes. Charles Leclerc got third for Ferrari. The other Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, was fourth. Sergio Perez, the other Red Bull, was fifth. Fernando Alonso for Alpine was sixth. Lando Norris for McLaren was seventh. And Carlos Sainz for Ferrari showed up in eighth. Let's say first, Carlos Sainz got absolutely screwed by his team, Ferrari. So many things went wrong for Carlos Sainz. It's not even funny. He had a really slow, horrible pit stop where he stopped for 12.7 seconds. They also gave him an unsafe release. Also during that stop, Ferrari left out a wheel gun in a really dangerous position. Sergio Perez ran over it. Later, Carlos Sainz did something that was his fault. He passed someone in a dangerous position under a yellow caution flag. That's not good at all. That was on him. But Carlos Sainz started in third place and finished in P8. Ferrari's a mess. They're a disaster. I'm getting tired of talking about it, but they just massively, monumentally hurt their own driver, Carlos Sainz, on Sunday, and it was painful to watch. By the way, I cannot imagine that Ferrari team principal Mattia Binotto is going to keep his job after this year. I'm not hating on the guy, but I just see it going so bad for Ferrari week in and week out, and they need new leadership setting the tone in Ferrari, in Italy at Ferrari. Now, near the end of the race, Lewis Hamilton for Mercedes had the lead with like 18, 17 laps to go, and it looked like Lewis Hamilton was in a prime position to win this race. In first, you had Lewis. In second was the other Mercedes, George Russell. And in third was Max Verstappen. Then on lap 55 of 72, Valtteri Bottas pulled off with a problem right along the main straight. That's a big deal. It led to a safety car. So behind the safety car, Max Verstappen pitted for soft tires. And then George Russell, because they were doing safety car through pit lane, because the pit straight was taken up with them trying to remove Valtteri Bottas' car. They're driving through pit lane. Right before George Russell enters pit lane, he speaks up and goes, he makes a late decision saying, I need soft tires. This isn't going to work. I need to put on soft tires. So George Russell puts on soft tires, and now when the race restarted with 11 laps to go, Lewis Hamilton was in first place, but he held track position, but he had medium tires. Max Verstappen was in second with soft tires, and George Russell was in third, also with soft tires. Lewis had no buffer behind him to slow down Max Verstappen to make it easier for make it harder, for Max to pass Lewis Hamilton. Max passed Lewis Hamilton very, very easily. Also, by the way, Lewis Hamilton was really weak on the restart. He sped up at a point that allowed Max Verstappen to basically use the entire main straight to overtake him. And Lewis was really mad at his team. He was like, that was the biggest F up. I can't believe, quote, you guys bleeped me, man. Can't believe how bleeped I am. Or can't tell you how bleeped I am. You guys bleeped me. It's funny how quick Lewis Hamilton changed his tune on the radio towards his team when things didn't go his way. Because earlier in the race, when he's in first place, he's like, you guys are the best, man. Great pit stops, great decisions. This is awesome. I just don't like a guy getting all mad and berating his team. You can get mad at another driver, you can get mad at stuff, but you got to work with these people all year. I just don't think it's a good look for Lewis Hamilton to be berating his team. So Lewis went by first. They didn't pit him. Then George Russell realized, hey, this isn't going to work. I need soft tires. I'll give up track position to get them. By the way, George was right to ask for soft tires. The medium tire didn't have enough pace. That was proven true with Max Verstappen, George, and Charles Leclerc all passing Lewis with ease. I thought, if anything, it was a heads-up move by George Russell to realize the scenario and request a pit stop and, frankly, save a lot of points for Mercedes. At the time, it seemed wrong and confusing why pit George Russell, but it was proven to be the right move. The medium tire simply did not have enough pace. It's better that Lewis got passed than both Mercedes getting passed. Now, there was a weird moment. This is unrelated, but I want to put on my tinfoil hat for a second. Yuki Tsunoda had a problem during the race. He pitted. They were like, is it a tire that's off? What's going on here? He went back on the track only to pull off afterward with a real problem, and it led to a virtual safety car. By the way, that virtual safety car helped out Max Verstappen. At great risk of making a lot of people very angry, I want to share this thought. I'm sure a lot of people thought it before. Isn't it interesting AlphaTauri had a problem that went on to help Max Verstappen? And what happened was AlphaTauri created a virtual safety car which helped Max Verstappen without impacting the points for the Red Bull main team. AlphaTauri is Red Bull's second team, got the same owner. It's just uncomfortable to me when that kind of stuff happens. My conspiracy theory mind tends to wonder if there isn't anything shady happening there. You have to hide it, you can't document it, all this stuff, but Red Bull owns both teams and AlphaTauri helped Max. I'm just saying. Just pointing it out. I'm asking the question. Hey, I'm just telling you, AlphaTauri had some kind of weird problem. They sent a car back out on the track only to have them pull off very briefly afterward. Led to a virtual safety car, which helped out Max Verstappen. Just saying, Red Bull owns both teams. It was kind of weird. Now, that's a conspiracy theory. It was probably nothing. Now, with the late safety cars, though, with virtual safety car when Yuki Tsunoda had a problem, then later when Valtteri Bottas had to pull off on the main straight, it really hurt Mercedes. It put him in a bad spot. And I thought Mercedes did the best they could to handle a bad situation as well as they could. Now, after the Dutch Grand Prix, here are the standings. Here are the driver standings. Max Verstappen leads the driver standings with 310 points. Way behind him is Charles Leclerc with 201 points. In third, also with 201 points, is Sergio Perez. 201 points for Sergio Perez and 201 points for Charles Leclerc. In fourth, you've got George Russell with 188 points. Right behind him is Carlos Sainz with 175 points. And in sixth is Lewis Hamilton with 158 points. I want to check George Russell. I thought he had 198 points. Let me double check that. F1 standings drivers. I thought George Russell had 198 points. Let's find out. It's coming very slowly. Oh, George Russell, 188 points. Okay, so my notes are right. Here are the team or constructors standings. Red Bull right now, by the way, Red Bull and Max Verstappen widened their lead above everyone on Sunday. Red Bull is in first in the team standings with 511 points, followed by Ferrari in second with 376 points. In third is Mercedes with 346 points, and Alpine has 125 points in fourth place. McLaren is in fifth with 101 points. What I thought last week was I thought Red Bull basically won the world title. Red Bull and Max feel like they're unbeatable at this point, and with every week now since then, they keep gaining and growing their lead. I'm not sure when, but at some point very soon, it's going to become mathematically impossible for anybody to beat Max Verstappen and beat Red Bull. And I'm curious how long we have until that day comes. I could figure it out if I want. I don't want to do the work and the math to figure it out. The next race is September 11 in Italy. That's coming up this Sunday. First day of the NFL season is also that day. Going to be really fun. Going to be an awesome Sunday. And F1, it's been really fun. What I loved about this race, by the way, the Dutch Grand Prix, I didn't believe Max Verstappen was going to win. I thought Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes had it. All I'm saying is I'm glad when I'm not sure who's going to win. I don't like when, 2 weeks ago, Max Verstappen won far and away, easily, wasn't even close. I don't like that kind of race. I like when I'm not sure who's going to win. And, I don't mind if Max wins as long as I'm just not sure he's going to win until the very end. That makes me happy. I like when it's close and competitive till the end. And this race, the Dutch Grand Prix, was intense and fun. Guys, my name is Zach Schomler. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I hope you have a great day. That's all I have for today. I'm very hot. I'm going to sign off. Bam, we are